Listen to me very carefully. I want to present the moments you've been waiting for.
Geekdupradio.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Geek'd Up Radio. I'm your host, Ricky, the Jolly Rancher Commander, along with special guests today in the house, in the studio. Not really, but in the studio, sort of. We have Mel from HumorUs podcast, right?
Yeah, thanks for knowing that so quickly there, Ricky.
I have I have a speech impediment. You know what I'm saying? I'll cut it out.
I understand completely. It's all good. And, you know, my first thought to you was, so if I could real quick tell the backstory. So you're like, can you record? And I'm like, oh, hell yeah, let's do this. And so we downloaded this app and we've been chatting. The second I got onto that app, I was rickrolled from you. And I'm like, we are going to be best friends for life. That was the coolest thing that has ever happened to me. And I'm like, yes, we're going to be friends for life. And here you are like, I think you're from HumorUs, right? You know what I'm saying? So what the hell, Ricky?
I think I've actually listened to your podcast before a long time ago, or a few of them, because I was like, I know this logo. I've seen this logo like a million times. And then I was listening to it. I was like, you know what? I think I've heard this podcast before, because I've only listened to podcasts for like 2 years. And I was like, and so in like the beginning, I've gone through like 100,000 podcasts, and we did a reviews about podcasts at one time on an older show. And I was like, I've heard this podcast before. So I think I've listened to your podcast more than you even realized, right?
Yeah. Hey, well, how did you review us? I'm just asking, you know.
Well, when it comes to reviews, we only did reviews when somebody asked us to, and so because I didn't want to like, you know, just take somebody of the show and like cut them into my show, because you know, we did a podcast before called TDMR, and it was like a general podcast, and we just talked about anything and everything, and sometimes we would review a podcast that wanted us to review them, and. Did you ever like send in anything?
No, I didn't. I could sit here and make up this grand story and then have you be like, oh shit, but I'll just be honest and cut to the chase. We didn't.
That's okay. Neither did anybody else.
Oh, okay. Now I don't feel as bad.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. So this is like our third or fourth podcast that I've been on, and it's I think it's the fourth one. So. Yeah, I've been on a lot of podcasts, and you know they've all like flopped, but that's okay. One day I'll be on a successful podcast, and maybe
well, you could be on ours. I mean, I can't promise success, but you're definitely gonna be. You know, you rickrolled us, so you're in. That's all it takes.
Good. I'm happy. So tell us a little bit about your podcast, how you got started, and what your podcast is about.
You know, so basically what it's about is nothing. I mean, I'm going to be flat out honest, like you were explaining the other one. That's basically what we did. We just tell stories about everyday life, things that happen to us that you're like, you're never going to believe this. But there's somebody out there who's like, oh, I believe that, because stuff like that happens to me all the time.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we tell stories and just make fun of like everything. And sometimes we go serious. We have like relationship recordings out there, and we're kind of all over the map. I got to be honest with you.
Awesome.
But we love doing it. And so we got started originally. It was a joke, and we were just like, you know what? We're so funny. You know how everyone thinks they're like the funniest people. We're like, we're so funny. We're like morning show material. And yeah, like that's literally how we got started. We're morning show material. And then we're like, oh, all right, what's this podcast? Yeah, we can do this. And it kind of started out as a joke, but we loved it. We literally, it's almost like therapy. Once we get in that studio with each other, we have a good time, and we've been doing it for 3 years. So, I mean, we obviously haven't stopped loving it yet.
Yeah, because when I first started podcasting, it was like share a bunch of stories and stuff like that, and then then everybody wanted like focus in on one thing, and everybody wanted control of the content and stuff. Do y'all ever struggle with who gets to talk or whoever gets to produce stuff?
Absolutely not. So basically, it's funny because I kind of run the show, and then everybody else just kind of gets behind the mic with me. Here's the thing. Like, everyone's like, you need to make it your show. Ricky, have you ever done a solo episode? Just asking.
No, not on Geekdupradio, but I think I did one once on TDMR. It was awkward.
Really? Right?
Yeah.
Thank you. So everyone's like, you need to do like your own show. And I'm like, okay, literally to me, that seems so weird. It's like me standing in the mirror and staring at myself for an hour or talk.
Right?
Like, listen, yeah, like, don't get me wrong. I do talk back to the voices in my head, but they're in my head. You know what I'm saying? I'm not spewing that out loud. So the thought of sitting behind the mic and just talking by myself for an hour, I'm like, yeah. Hell no. So I've never been able to do it. And there's tons of podcasters that do. But here's the thing. Again, like you said, it's mainly one subject they're talking about. If I had that, that's one thing. But I'm not going to crack my own jokes with myself. I mean, I do, but I'm not going to let anyone hear it. You know?
Exactly. You're going to be like, y'all thought that was funny? And it's gonna be like cricket. Like there's nobody.
Yeah, exactly. Or
Yeah.
I'll do like my own laughter in the background too. So I'll nail it all.
There you go. You can have one of those like push button laughter buttons or whatever. Like, ha ha ha. Like,
yeah, and it'll be my own laugh. It's like, well, you all wanted me to do my own episode. There you go. Now you have it all. Yeah.
oh, you know what? I just had an idea. What you could do, or I could do it too, is you could record half a conversation and then record a second conversation, then put them together and have it look like you're talking to yourself, like literally.
Oh, that's
You know what I'm saying?
perfect. I love it. I absolutely love it. I might try that just for shits and giggles, and I'm going to give you credit for it if I do. How about that?
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got.
I'm a producer. I'm a winner.
That's right. You got claims to that episode, Ricky.
That's right. Yay. Yeah. Hey, my life is worth something now. Thank God.
Yeah, right? I just created the shittiest podcast episode in history. Yes.
I'll be remembered forever on those top 10 lists.
That's right.
That'd be awesome. I could live with that. I could live with being on a top 10 worst podcast list. I'd be like, yes, I made it onto a list.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I'll take any list at this point, right? Even if it's the worst, if I see my name in print, it's a success.
Yes, exactly. Like, yes. Like when I go on Twitter sometimes, right? And I see like iTunes like posted a podcast. Oh, listen to this podcast. And I'm like, how do you do that? I'm like, iTunes, post my podcast, please.
Yeah, right. I know. You know what? Let me tell you something. I suck with Twitter. Like, we have an account. I think it's seen cobwebs for like 3 years now. Well, you know, my problem is I write as much as I talk, and like Twitter limits what I can say. I don't have time for that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like writing something out, then it stops me. I have to go back and delete like 20 sentences. I'm like, this is bullshit. I don't have time for this. And then they have me on like I could only follow 5,000 people thing. And like, we have close to like 4,000 followers, I would say, but they won't let me like people who are liking us back because I'm like at this cap and I don't know why.
Wow.
So everybody who's following us or other podcasts, I know they think we're stuck up assholes because like we're not following back. Like, no, but it's not. So if anybody hears this and you follow us and we don't follow you back, this is why we can't. We're on Twitter restriction. We did nothing, but we're there. We're there.
You're getting censored. That's what it is. They don't want to.
I guess so.
They don't want your message to get out. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Man,
that's right.
Man, I hate being on Twitter. I suck at Twitter too. Let me say that because when I use that talk to text or whatever, and I don't reread or proofread what I put down, and I'll be missing words and punctuations and whole sentences, and it just looks like a 3-year-old was just typing letters in, and I'm like, and I go back and I look at it, and I'm like, oh my God. And
then you have to come back with the follows and be like, sorry, everybody, I was hacked.
Yeah, exactly. Or I was drunk, or I didn't know I was awake.
Pocket text.
Exactly. Like like lately I've been getting like these messages saying, "Oh, fool, it's not Friday" and stuff. I'm like, "What are you talking about? I haven't been on Twitter in ages." And then I look and I'm like, oh my God, somebody's tweeting like literally the same message over and over, but for a different show. And on Podbean, I guess I had to like initiated some app or something through Podbean, and they were tweeting the same message over and over for every show. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, please.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so bad. Yeah.
So last night I turned that off finally. I was like, I can't handle this no more. I'm going to have to, Hey, so how's Instagram doing? Are you good at Instagram?
I'm good at Instagram. I mean, here's the thing. Like, I really need to do more. Basically, we don't post as much as we should. I haven't gotten the Instagram thing down either. Like, listen, I'm much better at the Instagram because literally it's a picture or something funny, but everyone's like, you need to post more stuff. Post the funny stuff. But this is what happens with us. This is what goes down. We'll post an episode about a subject, and then like 5 weeks after, I'll see a meme, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect for what we talked about 5 weeks ago. But I can't post it now. They're going to be like, are you serious? Like, that was weeks ago. What are you doing? You're so delayed. Get your shit together over there, So that's kind of how it rolls with our Instagram. I'll see amazing stuff, but then I'll feel like, I can't post that now because that was like 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Man, so. I think you're doing great at Instagram because I see your Instagram and it looks really professional. And compared to mine, which is like these cruddy videos of me saying new episode, yay.
No, but that's awesome. No, I love it. That's awesome. I wish that I could do and like I see those things where like they just take the video and put like a little blurb of something funny like they would do on a movie trailer, but they're doing it, through like that video and posting on Instagram. I'm like, yeah, I want to do something like that. Just take the one funny line in an episode and put it there to entice people. Exactly. You know how they do that on trailers? They take like the 3 funniest things in the movie, and then you get there, and then you're like, well, this movie wasn't even funny. Those 3 things I already saw. You know what I'm
Titanic
saying?
wasn't a funny movie.
Yeah, exactly. They wheel you. I want to wheel people in by the false advertisement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I did a couple of those where you put the image and you put the little blurb. Man, and I thought, man, this is going to be amazing. And then the company that I was going through, they were like, well, you wasted your 2 minutes of putting blurbs down. Now you can start paying us like $15 a month or something like that. I'm like, you want money? I don't even get paid for podcasting.
What?
I'm like, no, I'm not going to pay you. I'm just going to make another fake account and start doing it again.
Right. Blacklist. You know what I'm saying, Ricky?
I'm telling you, man, you got to figure out the cheap ways to podcast because
absolutely.
But yeah. And, one time we were sponsored a long time ago, like I think a year and a half ago, and I was like thinking, man, we're gonna get some money. Finally, this is gonna pay off. Finally, and it was like, here's some headphones. Now read this commercial. I'm like, headphones, like man, but yeah. But thank you, Studio Headphones, for app. If you want to give us more free headphones.
Look, that's bad when you get a sponsor and you're like, yeah, I'm going to turn you down. I mean, like, it doesn't get much more rock bottom than that, right?
Exactly. Man, I mean, podcasting, that podcasting life is just a funny thing. And it's weird because, sometimes I ask my family, do you listen to the show? I thought it was a good show this week. They're like, no, your show sucks. I'm like, thanks a lot, bro. Thanks a lot for, building me up. It's like,
listen, let me tell you something. When I was listening to the episodes, I'm like, listen, and it's funny. You're like, you want to do the show? I'm like, yes, absolutely. But in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, let's get real now. You don't know shit about games. Okay. I don't really watch movies much. Like, I'm not up to date on that. I'm like, all the Marvel comics, forget it. Like, so I'm thinking, all right, so I'm going to volunteer the yes. Okay. And then I was even asking you, so like, what movies have you seen? Like, trying to get down to what, I could help you with. But I'm like, okay, well, there's 2 backups. One, my 13-year-old could jump on the phone if need be, because he got this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But also my son-in-law, when he found out I was going to be on the show, he was extremely jealous. He's like, oh my gosh, if they ever want, and let me tell you something, he is the gamer, the Marvel, the movie. Like this is perfect for him. So he's like, oh, that would be a great one for me. And I'm thinking, I tried to get you on my show for 3 years. 3 years. And you're like, oh, I don't like my voice. I don't know. And now you're jumping to be a guest. Like, what is this?
Well, hey, I have a microphone open for him. If he ever wants to be on, just send me a text, and I'll be like, yeah, you can be on the show. Yeah.
Awesome.
And if he's worried about his voice, if he's worried about his voice, my mixer here, I can change his voice and stuff like that on the mixer.
Awesome. All right. Well, he'll be listening to this. So there you go. An open invitation, Mike. That's awesome. He'll be ecstatic.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah, Mike. I got a mic for Mike. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Awesome. Man, see, I don't get to talk to a lot of other podcasters, so I really enjoy this conversation about podcasting. It's like, wow. Because, I get on Reddit sometimes, and those people on Reddit seem so uppity sometimes. And it's like, man, do you ever get on Reddit and talk to the other podcasters on there?
You know what? I don't. And I'll tell you why, because I see a lot of negative stuff. Like, I see a lot of negative stuff, and this is how it's going to go down. I'm going to ruin my reputation and go off. Like, you know what I mean? Because, I'm the norm. I just try not to look at the negative stuff. But when I see it, this probably has not happened to you, but for us, we're down in explicit. The number one thing that pisses me off is when I see a review that's like, their language was just too terrible. Okay. Then when you saw the E, what did you think was going to happen? Why are you reviewing on something we're telling you? You know what I'm saying? You're not going to get an M&M clean version. You're hitting the explicit version. You're going to hear some shit.
Exactly, right?
And, yeah. That stuff, it irritates me. So I have not, but I've heard all the podcasting things. And it's funny you should say that about talking about the podcasting, because I say this all the time. No one understands what happens behind the scenes. It's stressful to get things ready. Things sometimes don't work out. We've lost, I can't even tell you how many episodes due to little things. One time our fire alarm had no batteries and it was chirping, and everybody in the audience heard this, but we did not. And we were in the room with it, and we didn't hear the chirping. So we had to every episode scrap. Everyone's like, what was that annoying thing? And we're like, what thing? Chirp? What thing? Chirp? I don't know how we didn't hear it, It's crazy. You're just so in the zone that you have, they're like, my dogs were going crazy. It was so loud. We're like, we didn't hear a thing. And then we went back and listened, and we were like, oh, that, so, but behind the scenes is so crazy. And a lot of people, I don't think, they get that it can be, you know what I mean? It's really, so it is fun to talk about it with somebody else who could definitely probably relate to some of these things,
Exactly. Yeah. Cause we have stuff like that. If we get a phone call, or if the weather alarm goes off or something like that, it ends up in the audio. But we go turn it off, or we don't answer the phone, but we always come back and say, when I have to cut it, I'm like, man, I'm just going to cut this part out, And so when I cut it, we always just say, oh, we lost power, but we're back and stuff like that. And because, I always use living in the country as an excuse of having bad power. And we really do have bad internet and stuff like that. So that's our crutch. So when something bad happens and we can't in the audio, it's just like, oh man, we'll just say we had a power outage or something like that. And it's the only thing we can do. It's very stressful, setting up. Even this morning, I was plugging in wires, trying to figure out which wire is going to go where, how's this going to get the best audio. And I've been up since 7:30 stressing out. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to because your podcast seems so much better than mine. I'm like, man, I got to live up to their standards. Does that make sense?
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
I'm serious. I'm serious because
no,
I'm dead serious. I was stressing out, and I'm going to be doing a another collaboration with this other guy named Ricky from Podcast Alliance for the Game of Thrones. And so I'm trying to like get all this really good equipment because he's got a really badass podcast. And I'm like, because I know him in real life, but it's kind of like a silent competition whose podcast is gonna be better and stuff. And
right.
I think it's just in my head, and I don't think he really cares. He's like, hey Ricky, like who gives a fuck about you? I'm like, I know.
Listen, I can totally relate. Okay, oh my gosh, can I relate to this? Because this is now the second podcast I've asked to be on. 2 weeks ago, I did another one. There is something more stressful when you're bringing someone on the show, or like, for example, for me, like when it's my show, if I mess up, I don't care. It's my show. I deal with it. But when you're going on to another show or you're having someone come on, there's that pressure. Like, I can't ruin their show. Like, if it was mine, I don't care. We're a shit show anyway, but I don't want to make their show a shit show. Like, I gotta, the pressure's kind of on. You're right. So I could totally relate to that either way,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, because I was once a guest on another podcast. It's called How We Met. And, man, I was nervous. I had, like, diarrhea that morning.
Yeah.
And everything. I was like, oh, my God, I'm not going to be able to make it through this interview. And, he's in our podcast group. And I was like, okay, he's a cool guy. He'll understand. And I'm like, oh, my insides are all, like, gurgling and turning into water. I'm like, I'm not going to make it. I was, like, so nervous. Because I'm not used to being around people or talking to real people a lot because, I literally live out in the country and there's hardly anybody here. So I'm very secluded. I'm a very recluse type of person naturally. So it's very comforting. But it's like, oh, got to get out of your shell, talk to people. And it's like,
You're right. Well, now I have an excuse. I can't go anywhere.
Exactly.
Well, we need to fly you out of the state and bring you to us, actually. That's what we need to do. We need to give you a life experience, Ricky.
Man,
this is what's going to happen.
I would love to leave Texas. My wife wants to, like, leave Texas and, go travel up to, like, the New England states. And I'm like, is it cold up there? And she's like, yeah, it's cold up there. I'm like, I want to go back to Arizona where it's warm. It's cold in Texas. Like, right now, it's like 30-something degrees. And I have like a space heater on. I have the heater on. I have sweats on. I have a hoodie on. I have my beanie on. I am freezing.
We can relate on that level so much. Let me tell you something. I live in North Carolina, which is much warmer than Connecticut, where I used to live. And I'm an embarrassment to myself. Okay, I'm just going to call it out because I'm in North Carolina where it's like 40 or 50. My friends are below zero in Connecticut, and I'm like, oh my God, it's so cold. And I'm like, I am freezing. And I'm like, how did I used to live? How did I live there? Like, I'm an embarrassment to the North at this point. It just literally, I am the same exact way. And when we podcast and we get together, it's like, okay, if we're doing any winter, you guys come here. Like, if we're doing anything together, like, I refuse to go there to do any recordings from, like, I don't know, November's my cutoff and, like, April is my back on. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, hell no, you know?
Yeah.
I did go there once in February, and then I got, all of a sudden, like, I'm there, and I get an email. I don't watch the news. I'm not going to lie. It's too negative for me. I stay away from it. I don't watch the news. I get an email. It's like, your flight was canceled for tomorrow. I'm like, what the hell is this? And then unbeknownst to me, I find out we're getting like blizzard-like conditions that night. And so I literally got stuck in Connecticut in like this blizzard. Yeah. Nope, not again. You will not get me again. So I could relate to that. I do not. But you know what? Listen, stop it with the cop-out, okay? Because there are summer months. So take your wife up north. It's beautiful in the summer, okay? But do it. Get out. Yes, you'll love it.
Maybe I will. See, that's my plan. One day when the podcast is very successful and I can quit my 9 to 5 and she can quit her 9 to 5, we'll go traveling. We'll go to like Italy or France and the warmer countries and stuff. I guess. And,
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
We'll go to Germany too. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready.
# goals. Yes. Yes. absolutely. It'd be great.
Man, yeah. Be all around. Yeah. See, yeah. So like yeah, we'll see. We'll see. No promises. I'm already getting nervous. All the crowds of people because I see those pictures of like New York City and everybody's shoulder to shoulder. I'm like, don't touch me.
All right, let's calm down. You don't want to have to go to the bathroom again, or let's get a case of the shits over this conversation. Okay, Ricky?
I gotta take a break. Be right back. Too late. Anyways, so all right, this has been fun. Let's hey, do you want to do the cringe news? Have you ever done cringe news on your show or strange?
I thought we just did cringe news.
What?
Holy
me shit my pants?
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah. Where's the wipes?
I am very excited to do the cringe news. Before we go into it, can I just say for the record, and I'm just going to bring you back 3 episodes of yours.
Oh my goodness.
Can I just? Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but I can't get over the stewardess that wiped the guy's ass. I've literally been thinking about it since I've heard it. I'm like, why would you do it? Like literally, like pun intended, I don't get paid enough for this shit. You know what I'm saying? I
seriously.
Can't. Why would you do it? I don't get the dynamics of that. So I had a shout out to that cringe news because that was cringy. Okay, that was the best.
Exactly.
Give me some good ones like that.
That one, oh man. We'll see. There's some good ones. I haven't checked the cringe news, but I looked it up today, and there are some really good ones today. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. Are you ready? We'll just read the headlines and we'll see if the internet will pull it up. All right, so let's see. There's one from Russia. All right, this one might be a little sad. We'll see. Russian woman eaten by pigs.
Oh. Well, let's start out with the bang, Ricky. Right.
So the article pulled up. Apparently, she had a seizure or something like that, and she fell into a pig pen, and the pigs like ate her. What? And yeah, so that's a sad one. So.
Well, I guess they were like, not today, honey. Not today. We are not going to be the bacon here today.
But that like goes along with that saying, never trust a pig farmer, right? You've heard that, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean,
there you go.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why, ladies and gentlemen. This is the reason why.
They will eat you. I mean, that's crazy. Okay, here's one. Here's a crazy one. You might like this one. This one won't bring you down. Ready?
Okay.
Wedding descends into brawl after groom hits a teenage waitress. So apparently, the groom propositioned this teenager. She was underage, to go, fool around in the back, and then he gets mad and starts to try to rape her, and then they end up in a giant fight.
The groom?
The groom.
You're saying the groom?
The groom, yeah. What a dickhead. So he's in jail now. I mean, his wedding night. You know what I'm saying? The day of his wedding, he's gonna. Oh my God! Not only.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So thank God it's still under the annulment period. Let me just put out there for the record. Are you serious? You're getting laid that night, dude. It's your honeymoon. What are you doing?
Exactly, right? You're going to be able to do everything you've ever seen on video that night, right?
Yes.
Yes. And now he's going to spend 25 years in prison because he turned out to be a pedophile. You know what I'm saying? It's what are you? Oh, dude.
Oh, man, dude. That dude obviously didn't have a bachelor party. You know what I'm saying? Okay, you missed that. Yeah. All right.
He's a complete idiot. Okay.
Yeah, obviously.
All right.
Crazy though. How did he think he was going to get away? What goes through your mind?
I don't know.
I just.
The article says that people saw him doing it, and it's what? It's man. This is the world we live in. There was just people walking around like this, man. That's crazy. All right.
Unbelievable.
All right, here's the next one. Frozen cat revived after being found in Montana snowbank. So,
stop it.
Yeah. So they found this cat that was like frozen and literally frozen in like the ice. Like in the picture, it shows like this block of ice and there's this cat inside of it. And they revive it. They bring it back to life. I mean, it's being reported by the Yahoo News, and I mean, I feel really bad for the cat. You know, I used to be a vegan, never used to eat animals, and so they bring it back to life. Isn't that crazy? Maybe they could do that to people.
I was just thinking that because remember, like that whole Michael Jackson was going to freeze himself thing. Like, so maybe there is hope for the people who wanted to jump on that train. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you remember those people who used to have their heads transplanted and put it into like those buckets in Arizona or something like that?
Yes.
and then they came out. They said like, "There's no way to revive those people." I'm like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, I think once it's decapitated, it's over, you know?
Exactly. I'm like, these people paid you $100,000 so you can revive them in the future. Now, after they're dead, you're saying it's not possible.
Yeah. Oh, shit, that's not going to work. Damn.
like, thanks a lot. You know, thank you for your money, but after, yeah. But if they did it with this cat, now they can probably figure it out. You know, it's 2019, isn't it? You know, there you go. We got technology.
Exactly. You know what, though? Let me just say this for the record.
Tell me.
I know we're making light of it. You know, now I'm going to throw us both in therapy sessions for a little bit. I just got to say, you know, whoever's the owner there is an asshole for leaving your pet out in those conditions. But you know what? Let's just be real here.
Exactly.
You know what? You're sitting there, fireplace going, you're all in the heat, you're dressed like Ricky with the coat, scarf, beanie, you know, and your cat's outside and now it's frozen. All right. So I'm just putting that one out there too.
Yeah, for real. Keep it real.
Yeah. Scarf up that cat, you know, put a beanie on it.
Yeah.
It'll be all right.
Man, I wonder if it's gonna live. I wonder how long it'll live.
Yeah, that's true too. Because like we don't know. We don't know if it's out of danger yet. Like it might still be in the danger zone. Right?
Yeah, it might be like at a kill shelter. It, like after 30 days, nobody adopts it. They'll like put it to sleep. So it's like you saved its life only to kill it 30 days later.
Yeah, and like the cat's thinking, this is bullshit. I survived all that, and now this is how it ends. Like that.
This is bullshit.
Oh my God, we're going to hell. It's terrible. I love it.
Man, yeah, that's great. Yeah. This is bullshit.
Maybe don't kill me. Just freeze me. I have a shot if you just freeze me. Freeze me for a little while, you know, and then you can bring me back and try again for the adoption, you know?
Exactly. All right, here's one. Ready? Here we go. Man who filmed threesome on subway hit with fine. There you go. That one's being reported by CNN. It was him and three of his buddies. It was George, Nicholas, and a third man who's not been identified, but they had a threesome on the subway, and they got it on Twitter. Uploaded the footage onto Twitter.
This is what I'm missing while my Twitter's collecting cobwebs on Twitter. Right? This is the good stuff I'm missing.
You could have followed that page.
Yeah, right? I can't. Twitter won't allow me to follow anybody else. I'm on a tab. I'm going to throw someone off so I can get on their page. So I just want to make sure I understand this one. Did you say that is this guy included in the threesome or he was just recording it? Because I want to know. Go ahead.
Okay, so he had sex with his former partner, Nicholas, and a third man who has not yet been identified. So he was in on it. It was going full throttle. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. On the subway. Okay, because my question was going to be, how did he get arrested? They're having like public displays of all kinds of shit, and the guy who's recording it gets arrested.
Why I wonder if they were using a blanket, because you know that the subways look pretty cold with all that steel.
That right? You're not kidding. Let me tell you something. When I paid for the subway this morning, I didn't think I was going to get the show of my life. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Wow. I've seen some crazy stuff on public transportation, and subways. That is a first.
Really?
That is a first.
I've never been on public transportation.
Oh yeah, I never would have guessed, Mister. I don't leave my home. I never would have guessed that. That really? Okay.
So is it crazy on what have you ridden on? Like city buses and trains and subways?
Yeah, in New York City, I've done like the subway, I've done the cab ride, and let me tell you something. When they talk about that New York cab ride, they mean it. Okay, crazy.
Really?
Oh my gosh, like the stuff there. The train we used to take into the city and stuff. So I've seen it all, and there's some characters on these things. There really are. Yeah, they hang out. I missed the threesome ride.
It could have been a good show.
Yeah, right. So did the other two get arrested too, or just like did he just get arrested for recording? But they because let's be honest.
No, I don't.
New York is New York. You might get away with that shit there on public transportation. You know what I'm saying?
So why do you think people do that on the subways? Just for attention?
I mean, some people are into some freaky things. You know what I mean? I don't know how they think they're going to get away with it, though. That's it's not even like, okay, let's go into the bathroom and maybe we could get away with this. You're just going to get freaky. Like, they're literally like, hi, lady. Yeah, I see you over there looking at me. All right, let's do this. Like, you know what I mean? What goes through your mind at that point? I don't know. I can honestly say I've never been there in that situation. But I think I'm going to start riding subways more because you know what? These make really good podcast stories. I'm kind of jealous I wasn't on that ride so I could tell somebody what I saw. And I'm not going to lie. I would have been videoing it too.
Yeah,
I'm not even going to lie.
Why not?
Straight up.
Why not?
Yes.
You're never probably going to see that again. You know what I'm saying?
Well, because nobody would believe you.
Yeah, for real.
You need proof with the shit like that. Like, you need some solid evidence when that stuff is going down. There's no way I can come and tell you, Ricky, you're never going to believe what I saw, and you'd be thinking, oh, get out of here. If I'm telling a story like that, you're getting the evidence. It happened.
I'm going to get close-ups and everything.
Exactly.
You're going to be like, no, move your hand over here. There you go. Now grab his hips.
Yeah, and then, he's in jail, so no one technically has the rights to it. Start selling it to the porn industry, making that money. You can travel more, I mean, there's perks. There's perks in these things.
Exactly. So I don't think he got arrested. It looks like he just got a ticket for $1,300, and the only reason they found him because he posted it on Twitter, and that's it. He got away with it. They all three did.
Wait a minute, though. So was he in a private? I have so many questions, right?
I mean, the article's only like 3 paragraphs. There's like not much to it. It was like, man.
I need more information. What was this? I'm going to write to this headline and be like, I'm going to need you to give me more information on this because this story sounds a little weird.
So CNN, London. You can write London, CNN.
When in Rome. You know what I'm saying? That's all I can say to that one. Crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah, man. Yeah. Oh man, that man. Wow. All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, so this one's being reported by Everything Lubbock. So I guess it's regional. So this one's probably right here in Texas, Lubbock, Texas, I guess. Man previously charged with molesting a horse, arrested again for burglary.
Okay. Wow.
This is not the first time we've had this type of thing in Texas, I guess. Or on the show, because there was this guy in Houston, I guess, or Austin, or near the area that was molesting a horse too. But this is another guy, or no, I think it was a cow. But this guy, so that's all I got.
Not his first time at the rodeo, Ricky. All right. So just out of curiosity, look, if I'm going to get a charge and I'm going to be known for it, I definitely want the burglary charge. So that's one thing I would want. What do they call that when you get like one charge, you can drop off your record for the rest of your life? Like expulsion. I don't even know. There's a word for it.
Expunged.
Yeah, expunged. I would want that expunged, and I would want my burglary exposed. I'm just going to say it. Unless his burglary was to the horse. Like, did he break it? Did he bust into the barn? I mean,
he stole the saddle. He was...
yeah. Yeah. I'm seeing a pattern here. Mm-hmm.
Oh, nah. I don't. Man.
So you're saying this happened before there with a cow?
Yeah, okay. Like a couple months ago, there was this guy who molested a cow, thinking that it was his reincarnated wife. And
stop it!
No, for real. They caught him going to town, and and that was his excuse. And it wasn't even his cow; it was like his neighbor's cow or something like that. He was like, "That's my reincarnated wife," and I was like, "Wow!" I'm like, dude. So,
and this is the place you don't want to leave. I'll never understand why. I just don't get it.
Because everything's free, right?
Yeah. But if I stay here, I get some really great stories.
That's really strange. I mean, I just can't imagine. I can't imagine that. What is going through people's heads?
Yeah, that's I don't. I can't.
Yeah, nothing happened like that over there on the East Coast? You never get strange stories like that?
Nothing of that caliber. Nothing that I've heard of, to be honest with you. But let's be honest, I'm sure there's closet bestiality going on everywhere. Let's just bust it out. Let's just be straight up. You know what I'm saying? It's a matter of, did they get caught is the question, right? It's all fun and games till you get caught.
There you go. That's a good saying right there. All right, so another one is this is the last one. Last one. A Florida politician allegedly made a habit of licking men's faces. She now resigned. In Florida. Let me see if it pulls up. Did you hear about this?
I'm sure that was not a voluntary resignment. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm sure she was forced to resign. Let's be real, people. That's a weird fetish.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, it's probably not the craziest thing going on in politics these days. Okay. So, if I was a politician. Yeah.
What if she had like herpes, or she licked somebody's face that had herpes and she didn't even know? You know what I'm saying? She just
God.
That's what I always think about. Like, man, you got, because okay, so this happened in Madera Beach, Florida, a coastal community near the Gulf of Mexico, and she decided that to have a laid back, council meetings and stuff like that, she would just walk up and lick a man's face when she meets them. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty nasty, man. People's faces are pretty.
Do you not know it's cold and flu season, people?
What if they had like a big old pimple or something like that, and she just licked the whitehead right off, and it's like,
oh God, that is great.
What if they had like a hairy mole?
I mean, but okay, put yourself on the other end of that. Ricky, can you just imagine? Okay, hey, I'm in your home. Let's get together. Let's go for a well, I don't know. I'm a little nervous. I got the case of the shits. Hey, it'll be all right. Let's go out and get some dinner. Okay, we get there. We meet. You're thinking, oh, yeah, this is going to be real cool. We're going to have fun. I walk up to you, and I'm hey, how you doing? And I lick your face. First off.
Okay.
Where's mine?
Okay, so the article pulled up. It's not only the face, but it's also the face and neck. So she got deep down into it. She got into it. I mean, she was basically giving people a tongue bath, the neck and face. She was like, meow.
Tongue bath.
What about those guys?
Frozen cat reincarnated.
Oh my God.
It was crazy. All right, I'm just putting this out there for the record. Final thought. I'm pretty sure she's one of those people who it's all fun and games till you get caught. Pretty sure she's screwing the cow. Okay, let's just be honest here.
You know what? Yeah. Yeah. She's like, I'm gonna give you a bath with my tongue, baby.
Yeah, it doesn't stop there. She's milking that cow.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
She's
this is great.
Yeah, I mean, this is the world we live in. Welcome to America.
Well, maybe she didn't want to be a dirty politician.
Oh, yeah.
So she was cleaning her fellow politicians. So, in her mind, she's like, oh, now you're not dirty anymore, I don't know. You just never get into this mind frame. I'll tell you what, if I ever get to that point where I start looking people's faces and necks, I'll get back with you, and then I'll let you know how I'll let you know how the mind goes on that.
Yeah. Let me know how that neck beard tastes.
Yeah. No.
She's like, what? Because sometimes the beard gets crumbs in it. What? She's like tasting their breakfast and their lunch.
Oh my God, that's so disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it.
That's
like,
crazy.
let me sweat glands and everything.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Next thing you know, it's going to be the armpit.
Oh, no. Oh, I'm going to look for an armpit article for next time.
There you go. I'm sure they exist. Let's be honest.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, that's got to be stanky. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Geeked Up Radio. I've been your host, Ricky, the Jolly Rancher Commander, with
Mel from HumorUs.
That's right. And if you enjoyed the show, make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and everything else. Mel, why don't you tell us where people can find you and where to find your show and stuff?
Sure. You could go to our website at www.humouruspodcast.com. That's HumorUspodcast. We're also on, we're on everything, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. We're on apps that we don't even know how we got there. We're just on podcast apps. Just find us. You shouldn't have a problem.
Awesome. And yeah, same thing for us too on Geeked Up Radio. But one thing we like to do, Mel, is more of today's story. And since you're the guest, I'm going to let you do it. So, Mel, tell us the moral that we should learn today from the show.
The moral of the story, this one I wasn't expecting. Okay, you're going to put this on me. The moral of the story is there are some sick fucks in the world.